Welcome back. Welcome back, Trekkies, to another Trek Central weekly stream. We're live. How's it going?
It's good.
It's going. It's a Sunday fun day.
I'm so glad I'm getting to host today. Like Captain Jack and Dom are not here, so like I took over the ship. I basically pulled an Admiral Picard. Yeah.
yeah. Jack was just here, and he had like this really nasty looking injury on his leg. Like I think I could visibly see bone, and he was just like, "Sohail, you got us into this. You're gonna get us out of this." And he stormed off to sick bay or whatever. But
well, we're once again joined by Nick. It's great to have you back, Nick. I didn't get to hang out with you last week, so I'm super excited that I get to hang out with you.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Week. I saw some videos on your channel, and I have to say, you're awesome.
Oh, thanks. Didn't know what was about to come next.
When you were touring the Enterprise D and just like going crazy and like having like such a great emotional, that was me. I was like, okay, I'm there with you. And we're glad to have Fathery back. Welcome back, Fathery. Nice to see you.
Howdy.
For those of you in the States, the time changed, so you'll have noticed we're starting a little bit later, an hour later than usual. But then it all is going to change again when they change the time in the UK, which is coming up around Easter.
Yeah, we'll eventually be back lined up like normal, but
exactly.
You know, temporal anomalies. You know, we've seen like strange timey-wimey things in Trek before, so we should be used to it as Trek viewers. You know.
It's true. In the audience, Benjinium says, "So weird for me seeing Nick and Sohail together." Ooh, wow.
Oh, is it not weird for me to be here though? Are you trying to say I'm normal? You would be the first, Benjinium. That would be a first.
Well, we've got a lot to cover today. So we're talking about Star Trek Picard season 3, episode 4. Oh crap!
No win scenario.
No win scenario. I was gonna say Kobayashi Maru.
Close enough.
Yeah, that's been a pretty popular title, right? There is what was it, Kobayashi Maru on Discovery, but then Prodigy just had Kobayashi. Or am I getting that wrong?
That's right. I think so. No, that's right. And then we have no win scenario for this. So yeah, the Kobayashi Maru scenario comes up a lot in Star Trek, but it's fine. Before we get to the episode, is there any news you guys heard this week that you want to cover?
News?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I think it's a slow news week on the Star Trek side. So,
but however, I do suspect there will be some big news soon with the season of Picard reaching the halfway point this week when we get episode 5 in a few days. So I think they're about to roll out the push for Strange New World season 2. I bet we're gonna get a trailer, a release date, and an official announcement of season 3 beginning production very soon, within the next few weeks. So any day now, perhaps. So keep your eyes peeled for that.
That's right. And audience, if you can please remember to hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, and share this stream so other folks who like Star Trek can come and hang out with us. All right, let's get right to it. So a lot, I guess you could call this the culmination of like a 4-episode mini arc or like story. Like it wraps up, even though there's definitely more of the story to find out. How'd you guys feel about it? Let's go ahead and start with you, Nick.
How did I feel about it? The changelings really threw me for a surprise. Of all the things that were going to show up, that's not really what I was expecting. I kind of expected the what is it, the Ensign LaForge in the engineering room. I was like, that's a changeling. You can't. But I thought it was really good so far. Yeah.
Excellent. How about you, Fathery?
This opening story arc was I was a little unsure of things at first. I wanted to be enthused. You know, other people got on board really early. It kind of took me an episode to warm up, and I was so worried about certain things I didn't want to see. Like I knew I didn't want David Marcus, The Next Generation, but just this cast is so phenomenal. They are so great at playing these characters and balancing off one another that they could make me just get on board anything, I think. So yeah, as someone who did not want Picard and Bev to have a son, I can't believe how much I am on board the Jack Crusher relationship, how much I'm on board the larger story that they're building with Raffi and Worf, and I'm curious to see how that ties together. And yeah, they went like really dark, a bit too dark for some people who complain about the sets being lit too dark. But then it ended with this very, very traditionally optimistic Star Trek positive note, with a major callback to Encounter at Farpoint to really hammer it in. And yeah, that was really something really impressive. I'm very happy to be out of the nebula. We were hanging out there for a while, so I'm ready to be moving on past that. And I am thrilled and fully on board the show, and just eager to see the next half of the season where we end up.
Right on. I remember you being excuse me. I remember you being nervous about it. But it's cool that, like, it's understandable, I should say. Like, I think we in general don't want Star Trek to like necessarily repeat itself. We want it to do new things, but also I think that Star Trek does have like these kinds of, like, I guess you can call them tropes that occur in Star Trek, right? So we've started to see
It has a lot of tropes.
It has a lot of tropes.
There's quite a few.
I think they did it.
Perhaps recurring thematics, if you want to be generous.
I think they did it wonderfully for me, and this little end to this little small, for the first kind of like part of the story, if you will, was phenomenal. What especially moved me was the performances. Like, I just thought that all the actors were just like crushing it. No pun intended for Dr. Crusher there. but especially I think just the that ending when the squids are like floating around.
Space squids. Oh, yeah, I love
space
them
squids
so much.
and like the space babies. Jack calls them space babies. That's right. When the space babies are floating around and like you hear that wonderful music, and like they're just all, you can see they're all just like, wow, like, yeah, we've been running around getting shot at, but look, this is like insane. This is like
new life.
New life. This is what we,
or the next generation, right? Another word for new life. So
it's true. So yeah, I was super moved by the first 4 episodes, but especially this last one. I think Jonathan Frakes was probably the best he's been since First Contact in terms of directing Star Trek. Also, just his performance, like, he's definitely like the MVP of this episode. So yeah, for me it was incredible. Mm-hmm. We have Jill in the audience saying, oh, this is about the dark stuff. I'm going to buy the disc so I can see what was actually intended. I want to support good Trek financially. And
yes,
you should always buy physical media if you love something, because it'll always
if you want it, then buy it. Yeah. It's just a reminder, Strange New Worlds is about to get a 4K Blu-ray release in May, I believe in May. If you want 4K Blu-ray releases of Star Trek, because most TV shows don't get those, that's extremely rare. I think if you ever want to see that happen with Star Trek again, then you need to run out and buy that set coming in May. Because that might be the only time we get that.
That's awesome. And then also, I was just gonna say, also, by the way, for folks who were complaining about how dark the show was, there were technical difficulties. Like, yes, it is, the ship's losing its power. Of course, the lights are flickering. Sometimes it's going to be, there's scenes that are set in a darker room. But I've been watching it, and I've been kind of like baffled at people's reactions. And then I saw that Terry Matalas and some other folks on the production were actually like investigating, which I actually thought was really cool. Like, they would ask people to send screenshots and stuff like that.
They shouldn't have to do that.
I know, but it turns out
that's good. Yeah, they got it fixed.
Yeah,
so.
It turns out there was, to exacerbate the issue, it was darker than normal. And so when I watched it, I binged all 4 episodes yesterday because I wasn't feeling well. And when I watched it again, it does look different. There's a lot more detail in the shadows. And the highlights look better, so definitely, I'll take any excuse to go back and watch those episodes. But definitely, if you thought it was too dark, maybe give it another go and see if it looks better. Highlight of the episode, of this episode.
Oh, that's an easy one for me. that I pointed out on my show. We stream live on Fridays, 7 p.m. Central. But the highlight for me was Picard dropping the F-bomb, because I was like, you know what? I know there's a lot of prudes out there that don't want to hear it, but like there was a lot of people who didn't want to hear Kirk say, "Let's get the hell out of here and City on the Edge of Forever." And I thought it was actually like a really well written line. It was good dialogue, good delivery. But that entire scene, more broadly, just that entire interaction between Picard and Jack, it actually reminded me of my relationship with my father, and how we kind of weren't close when I was a kid, but we connected more when we were adults, and we could, hang out in a bar and have conversations like that over drinks, and kind of you learn to recognize like, oh, this guy is just like another dude, just like me. We have a lot that's different, a lot that's in common, and so for me, as someone who like really did not want a Bev and JL kid, and I didn't want like little Picard Jr. running around. That's my favorite part of this episode. So at least I can admit when I've changed my mind, and I'm not going to be like all prideful and like stick to my guns on this. Like, no, they did a great job with this character. It means a lot to me personally to see it on screen. For sure, my highlight was that the stuff in the hollow bar.
The stuff on the Holo 10 forward bar. That's awesome. By the way, Geek Filter, our friend Aaron Harvey points out apparently that F-bomb was not written but improvised by Stewart. So.
That's really cool to hear. But that surprises me, because Terry Metalis was on Twitter someone was complaining about like Picard's a distinguished gentleman. He would never use such a word. And Terry was saying that he had never heard his grandfather, who was also in his mind a distinguished gentleman, never dropped the F-bomb either, until he was telling some war story about being on a destroyer in World War II and having a shell or something go past his head. And I think I don't know if Jack wants me to say it on here or not, but just effing inches away from my head or something like that. So I thought that was something that Terry had written, because it sounded like something he pulled from his own life. But no, I love that it was a Patrick Stewart thing. That's cool.
Totally. Nick, what was your favorite part of the episode?
The space squids, for sure. I'm just a sucker for like little creatures in space. So like when Gomtu was there, and then the Gekli, and then the jellyfish. Yeah, that was probably my favorite part. But as far as like action scenes, I'd say when Riker decided to slingshot the asteroid into the Shrike. That was also really cool.
That was so good.
Very, very
did you
satisfying.
Just throw an asteroid?
Yeah.
Damn right I did.
Even that moment was really on point with the themes of the episode, because there's this, as much as it is about like new life and new generations, it's also about that lesson that Picard was trying to tell the junior officers in the opening, about how you have to have that camaraderie and loyalty and dedication to one another, and have that crew, that family there, and that's when you're really invincible, even in the most dire circumstances. And in the previous episode, we saw Picard, he wanted to be very aggressive and fight Vadic, whereas Riker wanted to be more cautious and flee. And they both kind of had like their own plan, but they weren't working collaboratively in sync. In this episode, when everyone is doing the TNG thing, they're sitting around a table, they're talking it out, they're trying to think up solutions, they're brainstorming. When they start working together, it's like they kind of combine those two plans. It's like, oh, here's the secret solution. We have to make a run for it, but give the bad guy a punch to the face on our way out the door. And it's actually kind of Picard figuring out how to do the escape thing like Riker wanted, and Riker figuring out how to do the attack like Picard wanted. And yeah, like how beautiful, how symbolic is that of like like that big like teamwork TNG cast working together, that Enterprise D crew, they still got it. I love that.
Yeah, it's great. Hey, thank you, Sean Casey, for the £2 super chat. Sean has a question, which is, was 1701E destroyed in Prodigy, or will we see 1701 and will we see 1701A? So I think in the trailers there's a Constitution class sitting at the what we speculate might be the Fleet Museum. And so it's possible that could be the Enterprise A, because she was decommissioned, so she wouldn't.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, in the trailer you can see
Okay.
it. I mean, like, I'm not spoiling anything because it's in the trailer or whatever. So.
Which trailer? Well, it doesn't matter, but I'll take your word for it.
All right. And so I'm hoping that we do see her. It might just be a cameo, like a glimpse. But as far as the 1701E, my understanding, I don't remember clearly, is that she's not destroyed. She was not destroyed, but she was obviously decommissioned. If we have the E.
Most likely, she wasn't destroyed. In fact, I think if you take the picture of Picard and Thad from season 1 of Picard and look at it closely, it would seem likely that's the Enterprise E ready room. So, although no, wait, because that would have been before Prodigy, though, right?
Oh,
Because
and
Prodigy is after.
Yeah, it's true.
Prodigy is after Thad's birth, so maybe it was
right.
destroyed there.
No, well, actually, I just remembered from the log files that they put on Instagram. You're on mute, Fathery. Oh no, I'm sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing. Sorry. From the log file, look at the right video monitor, Starfleet Sohail. Okay, from the from the log files on Instagram, it says that the decommissioning or or whatever happened to the Enterprise E was classified. So actually, it's a classic.
In other words, we're gonna let someone else tell that story in the future,
which could be Prodigy, because we saw her show up at the battle of Enterprise. We know Enterprise was still around at that battle. We don't know if she was destroyed. There was
a bunch of Enterprises at that battle.
Yeah, there was yeah, it's true. You guys picked some of my favorite scenes, so I'm gonna add Captain Shaw's reveal of his trauma as being another great moment, in this
some Wolf 359 flashback action.
Yeah, and I really, in particular, I loved how Todd Stashwick, like, kind of, you could see the character Shaw just kind of like getting lost in the memory of it, like he wasn't even kind of there. He wasn't like processing where he was or anything. Like, he was just back in that trauma. And I love that the sound design had the overlay of, you could hear what he was referring to, like you could hear
noises,
the background sounds and stuff like that. But especially what I loved about it is that after that, I think, when Jean-Luc responds and says I understand, and just kind of like is very like, he doesn't even try to defend himself. He's just like, and just him saying I understand, and then like it's kind of like it's okay, and he walks out and stuff. Like, yeah, that might have been a breakthrough moment for Shaw. He's been holding on to this thing for 20 some odd years, and he finally got it off his chest to the person he blamed. Like, that's like a big deal. And so it's a very complex scene, and so I really love it for that. And then you can see kind of like a weight lifted off of Shaw after that. And even I love the apology that he makes. He's like, at some point my charm turned into a-holery.
So at some point, asshole became a substitute for charm.
For charm, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I said the same thing on my Tinder profile. But it's people keep swiping left for some reason. I don't know why.
Goodness. So yeah, I'm gonna throw that one in the hat. But then there's still so many other great moments. Like the other thing I thought was really cool was the bridge crew really got to have a good highlight from the beginning of the episode, when they're dealing with Riker, but like throughout the whole thing. And I really want a show set on the Titan now. Like, I'm kind of obsessed with all these people, and I'm like, I don't know what's gonna happen to the Titan or the crew.
I don't know how likely that is, considering I think they might have torn down all the sets, right, from where they were shooting Picard in California. But these people, they might get a new ship or something if they do a new show. So I would definitely be a lot of people are really beating the drum for that Picard sequel show. And yeah, these I like Crash LaForge. I want to see more of her. Tavine, the bald Vulcan, is an interesting science officer. She's growing on me. I need a Captain 7 show. I think that would be phenomenal.
Esmer and then Mura are the other two characters that are kind of prominent on the bridge. Yeah, they're all very cool. I wonder if I don't know what's coming. Well, Okay, I don't know long term what's coming next. In the short term, I might, but not long term.
Oh, but what about Jack? Like, could you imagine a show with Jack as the chief medical officer, as the doctor? He would be so unique among all the
Ooh,
other,
interesting.
because those tend to be some of the most interesting Star Trek characters, right? Or the doctors throughout the various different shows, and I think he would definitely bring a unique type of Star Trek doctor to that legacy.
I mean, ER in space would be kind of cool. I hope. I wish like I wish like we got a medical ship drama. Might be nice, like for a Star Trek series. Maybe Jack gets the Pasteur instead of Beverly, or maybe Beverly gets the Pasteur and Jack's the chief medical officer on the Pasteur. So it's Captain Crusher.
I would just rather see him be the doctor in another crew. Because any Star Trek show can do a medical episode, so
I think Gates McFadden would totally be up for doing a 3-season series about her character to keep going.
It's a lot of work.
There's so many shows I want though. I want that 7 show too. So like I'm just being a spoiled brat. What did you guys think of Jack Crusher in this episode? And I'm just curious, what do you think's going on with Jack Crusher? Want to go first, Nick?
I was wondering the same thing. Like, has he already met some changelings and been affected by them? Or I guess I'm a little confused. It seems like he has some demons that and I didn't understand like the creepy vine on the wall.
Yeah,
So,
like him looking in the mirror, and then like how he's like hurting himself, like he's hitting his head really hard, like to try to shake the vision out. I guess
It's so
or, like,
intense though.
it is really intense.
They do such a
it's really well
they
done.
do such an intensity. It is. It's hard. It's hard to like go like that intense without like having like something that's like, I don't know, kind of like gratuitous and like unnecessary. It's like, okay, they're not. It's not like I enjoyed Picard season 1, but it's not like the flashbacks of the Romulans where they're like ripping their faces off and stuff like that. It's just it's more done with just like, here's like some flashes of bright red and some scary loud sounds. It's like it has like the same effect. It's more of a more minimalist approach. I like it. It's a bit more artful, I think.
Do y'all have any
Also,
idea? Oh, go ahead, Nick.
Sorry, I was just gonna ask, like, the door, is he having like a vision of something? Can he see the future? I guess I was also kind of confused about that as well. So
The door opening is interesting.
Yeah.
I keep
A
thinking
scary door, like Futurama.
I keep thinking of the secret hideout logo because it's a door opening, so it's interesting. I don't know why my brain just keeps going there.
I didn't even think of that, but yeah, you're right.
It looks like some folks in our audience are saying that they would not want Jack Crusher as their doctor because they'd be too distracted by his attractiveness. And people would be injuring themselves left and right to go see him.
Y'all need to calm down, Trek Central viewers. That's a bit much, y'all. Go drink a glass of ice water or something. And just chill, cool down.
I'm trying not to think too much about Jack, and I think the show is doing a good job of not letting you think too much about him because I don't know if I want expectations. I want his reveal, whatever it is, to be, kind of organic, and I want to, like go along with it, however it is. But I can't help but thinking about the Borg because I think the voice says like "find us."
I think
and
it
they
just
Just
says
find me, I believe.
Oh, find me. Oh,
Yeah.
my bad.
Find me.
Okay.
Well, they are.
So
That would make it
animals, so
sound
me
like
could
not
also
the
apply.
Borg.
Yeah, it could if it's yeah. But I don't know. I just think there's a lot of Borg hovering in this season. Like in episode 1, Jean-Luc didn't know about Hellbird, and so then Locutus comes up. I'm just saying, like he's like, yes, Locutus. Okay, so fine. Then we have Shaw, this character who's like, got like a Trek beef with Jean-Luc about the Borg, and now we're getting these kind of interesting visions. And I did see a theory that sounded interesting to me, which is when Jean-Luc and Beverly conceived, it's possible that Jean-Luc may have had Borg nanoprobes or some kind of. It's possible that Borg technology could influence the.
Has any XB had kids before?
Not that
he might
we know
be
of.
he might be the first. Yeah. So
Yeah. So
Well, I got unless you count B'Elanna, who was a Borg for like 30 seconds.
right, right. That's but not
She had a
enough
kid.
time. I guess not enough time to have permanent because like Jean-Luc didn't
Right.
get all his implants out, right? He still has some Borg parts in him. Or did he have a full? I
Yeah,
can't remember.
they left
Audience will
something. They
tell us.
left something behind because he was still getting those.
The signals
He would hear
could
those
hear.
whispers in
That's
First
right, in
Contact.
First
Yeah,
Contact. That's right. So yeah, there you go.
and then I think even a bit in Picard season 1. I think it wasn't until he got his synth body at the end of season 1 that he's probably fully Borg free.
Oh, and it parallels so nicely. Actually, looking in the mirror when, like in that dream sequence, the little, the Borg thing comes out of his cheek while he's looking in the mirror.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
it's like...
What else is nice is the super chat we just got from Veritas.
Oh, thank you, Veritas, for $19.99. 20. We're just gonna round it up to $20. Woo! Go ahead, Father. Read it.
Thank you. Sure. Veritas says, speaking of changelings, since Terry confirmed that Vadic is a changeling, when did the smoking and become unhinged? When did they start smoking and become unhinged? If she is a changeling, she's definitely unlike any changeling we've seen before. And that was something else that I said in the Text Trek show on Friday, is that I'm at the point now after episode 4 that I believe there's something else going on with these changelings. They're more than just like renegades from the Link. Just the way that they've depicted them, they changed the morph effect. It's more like bloody and fleshy and gory now, and not like the 90s CGI effect from DS9. I think that's more than just a modern update to the visuals. I think that there is some intentional differences. If she's a changeling, it's weird that she would have to like cut her hand off to separate that part of her goo from the rest of her. So and then when we see the Crash LaForge changeling shot and killed, she like maintains her body. She doesn't just like turn back into liquid goo or anything. So there's definitely something different about these changelings. I think by episode 4 there's enough of a case to be made about that.
I like someone said that they look like bacon.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
gooey
like that they
bacon.
look like raw meat now. Can we not?
Yeah, bacon
Just keep them
is
gooey.
appetizing. I just cooked some bacon this morning. It did not look like that, Sohail. I don't know what grocery store you're going to in Florida, but I don't think they're selling you bacon.
Our very own Dom Paris wrote an article expressing his theory about loss, or how do you say it, loss from
Yeah, I think it's
Deep Space
loss.
Nine, loss from Deep Space Nine, and Jill.
Did he really make a? Man, I was gonna do a YouTube short talking about that theory, but now I feel like it's he's probably got it covered. So
It's on. You can go read it on Trek Central. So maybe you could do a recap of it or something like that and add your own.
I could just read his article into a camera in 60 seconds, and there's a YouTube short for you.
But you can't read it in Dom's soothing, wonderful voice that our audience loves.
I could try. I could be like, "Hello, it's Dom Paris here. I have a theory on the changelings." No, I'm sorry, Dom. That was terrible. I'm sure that you have a much
It's a good
sexier
try.
voice that I could never hope to emulate. I'm sorry.
Man, there's a lot of comments. We're trying to get to the audience, but what do you guys think of that theory about like maybe the 100, these being the 100, that maybe they came home, or like maybe the splinter group that went the splinter group that went off on, away from the Great Link, could have found the 100 or could be led by.
If people don't remember, if you don't know exactly what we're talking about, the changelings, they sent out they like separated out of the Great Link, like 100 little changeling babies, and sent them into space to see what was out there. Odo was one of them. Obviously fell through the wormhole, came to the Alpha Quadrant, found him on Bajor. Loss, who was played by J.G. Hertzler in the Deep Space Nine Season 7 episode, can't remember the name of it, maybe someone will help me out, but he played another one of those 100 that came and like found Odo and connected with Odo, and at the end of the episode he's basically like, I'm gonna go look for the other ones. So there's possibly a community of changelings separate from the Dominion, separate from the Great Link. It would make sense if they are the problem makers here.
Bjorn points out that they found Odo in the Denorius belt.
Yeah.
Jill saying Vadic found them after the changeling died and gas leak discontinued, unless that was by accident. I think that that happened because there was only one way out of the nebula, because in the last episode, I think that's how. Anyways,
What are you talking about?
We missed a super chat, by the way.
we did. No,
Yeah.
we took Veritas, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
someone did a $2.
Oh, sorry. Geek
Sorry.
Filter.
Yeah.
Oh, Geek Filter did a
what
super chat. Oh,
What about Borg assimilated changelings?
thank you for the super chat, by the way. $2. Nice. Borg assimilated
Aaron.
changelings would
I
be
hope
interesting because you could
That's
have
funny.
you could have it would be like, because they couldn't be assimilated before, right? Like that was they're one of the species the Borg cannot assimilate.
When well, that's never been. Is that like
Confirmed.
from the novels or something?
I think it was just like I think it was just something I read online, but I don't
Because
know.
that's never mentioned on screen. There's never been any canonical contact between
It's
the
just
Borg or the Dominion.
species, whatever they're called, the fluidic space guys. Those can't be assimilated either, right?
8472.
Yeah, 8472.
Yeah, they couldn't be assimilated, but I always thought that would be interesting if the Borg did like assimilate the Great Link, and you had like these like liquid metal T1000 Borg like running around that could shape shift and do things
You know
like
what's
that.
interesting about that too is they're both collectives already too. Like the Great Link
they're
is essentially
fairly similar, and they both have like the same big philosophy of order and control. And you know, bringing order to everything.
You know, Geek Filter Aaron's theory is not that bad. That's an interesting idea. Now that I'm thinking about it, it would be the Dominion Borg.
Oh, and they both just had their asses kicked,
Right? So they would team up.
They would be open to teaming up because the Great Link almost got genocided by Section 31, and then the Borg, you know, got decimated by future Admiral Janeway when she came back and attacked them. So yeah, they're both like, they might be like, hey, like I don't like you and you don't like me, but you know, we're both pretty weak. If we team up now, maybe we can stop the Federation. I don't know.
Do you
maybe
think this has anything to do with like the end of Picard season 2, where we see like the Borg is nice now, they're on our side, going into whatever portal that was? Do we think?
Well,
that
Terry
has
Matalas
any...
said he says that's not gonna play into it, but I generally, like, as much as I like Terry Matalas, I generally don't believe producers, because I mean, like, it would be if I were a producer, I would shoot down the theory that nailed my ending or whatever, or
Yeah,
like had to
same.
do with something important. You know what I mean? So like I would just be like, no, that's not gonna happen, and lie.
Yeah.
And, like,
No, you're crazy.
I don't blame anyone on Star Trek Into Darkness for lying to us that Benedict Cumberbatch was Khan. Like, I think that's okay. It's okay to lie to save the turns and twists of your story.
Exactly. So I don't know. That's why I don't ask any like big questions, because I know like it's not gonna be like, if I guess it right, I'm not gonna, no one's gonna tell me I got the answer. But anyways, Dark Paths said Borg Minion, which I kind of
Borg Minion.
It's better than Dominorg, which
Yeah, that sounds like something from Lord of the Rings or something.
The Dominorg. So yeah, interesting theory, Geek Filter. Thanks for that super chat. If you guys have any other things you want us to ponder, super chat it over to us. Get us like a whole dinner at the pub tonight. It might be nice.
And I see John Daw. John Daw in the live audience, he's saying, yeah, I don't know if Vadic is actually a changeling. That's questionable. Yeah, even though like Terry said that, I still need to see like a little bit more confirmation of it on screen before I know I'm fully ready to accept that, because it might have been another type of misdirection thing. Who knows?
Speaking of the 4 episodes and seeing Vadic across the 4, I think that Amanda Plummer did an amazing job. Like, a lot was
Fantastic.
riding on her, and like, you know, again, going back with I didn't want it to be like too many homages to Chang, like the same way you didn't want it to be like, you know, David Marcus The Next Generation or whatever. And she's so original. Her villain is so juicy and wonderful. I love the way she says things like disengage the weapon, you know, like she'll do these like cool
She's very animated, yeah.
very
Yeah.
animated, and like she like really, I love her. I love this character. I want to know a lot more about her, so yeah.
I'm not sure if I would say I love the character, but she's incredibly entertaining and fun to watch. I think they didn't really have a there's more to whoever, like the bad guys, the bad movers and shakers. You know, she talked to Scary Face in this episode. She's not the final boss of the show. She's just kind of like their short-term problem, like their threat. They needed something like really scary in this Nebula. There might be like another role for her later in the season. And so I think for what they were trying to do there, for all intents and purposes, yeah, they didn't need a deep character. They didn't need like a Khan Noonien Singh. They just needed someone who's like, okay, who can be like a scary threat for us right now? And yeah, she's been incredibly entertaining. I like her giddiness. You know, she's a bit different from any other Trek villain. There's never been like an older lady, a little like off kilter who is just you know, kind of mysterious. We don't know where she came from, but she's really into like the thrill of the hunt, and kind of has like that whole like Shrike philosophy. Like, you know, I'm just gonna relentlessly attack you with these little small attacks and slowly wear you down. And, yeah. And then seeing that other side of her too, when she's terrified of whoever her boss is, you know, it clearly scares the living shit out of her. So that makes whoever else is out there like, oh, that must be something serious too.
And that's
And basically called her like expendable. Like,
expendable,
I don't care about you, just get it done. Like,
hey, thank you for the super chat, Bjorn. And Bjorn has a great comment, which is, it would be even better if Tim Roth were her changeling handler. Oh my gosh, I kind of love that idea.
It'd be a Honey Bunny and what were they? Honey Bunny and Pumpkin, right?
Pumpkin, yeah, reunion.
It's been a while since I saw Pulp Fiction. The movie's like 30 years old now. Isn't that nuts?
Oh, I think it was pointed out. Yeah, it's crazy. It was pointed out in the audience, but
you've never seen it, Nick?
What?
See,
never seen Paul.
these youngsters haven't even seen it. That's how old it
I'm
is.
32.
Oh, you're the youngest person in this room. Wait, no, I don't know. Father's a little older. Do you not say your age, Father?
Just a little bit.
I'll say my age.
I'm 37,
and I'm almost.
Be cooler if I was 47, but.
I'm almost 45. I turned 45 in May, so yeah, I'm the eldest.
Okay.
Hey, we're doing it big for Starfleet Sohail's 47th birthday party. It's gonna be nuts.
It's true.
I might not survive. We're going hard. We're going hard.
It's only a few more years away. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm planning it out now.
Man, you made me forget my chain of thought here.
That's probably for the best.
It's probably no. It was on. Jack's so mad right now. He's in the back. He's like wherever he is, like control. He's like, these guys are not doing their jobs.
I don't. Is he even listening? He might just be, off drinking a gin and tonic somewhere. Who knows?
Or having a hot toddy. Oh yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna just bounce off your idea that it was like kind of. It made me kind of feel something for Vadic, like, you know, like a little sorry for her, because she has an instinct to protect her crew and her life. Like, she's not just totally nuts, but this handler, possibly Tim Roth, is ruthless, like brutal. And so yeah, and then it just makes you think, like, what's so important about Jack Crusher that they're willing to risk, like, you know, the people to go and fetch him. Like, that's how important he is. And you can see her, like, the face palm she does at the end. She knows she has to report back to this like guy or this, you know, hand creature thing, and it's not going to be good, like whatever the repercussions are of it.
This
so
hand
yeah,
creature.
hand creature.
The hand face.
The hand face.
hand face with scary voice.
What did they credit the character as, you know? Was it hand face?
The end credits just said face.
A face.
Did it? I didn't know this.
Like in Batman Forever, the Two-Face's gang members, they call him Face, like that's his nickname. Like, face, Batman is attacking us, or stuff like that. I always thought that was weird. Who wants to call themselves Face?
Well, I used to call like a really dear friend of mine Face, but that comes from the A Team, right? Wasn't one of the
A-Team, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Which ties into Star Trek, I guess, because we have Dwight Schultz, Barclay, so.
Right, and he played Mad Dog Murdoch.
Barclay is the scary face. That's gonna.
Oh my god!
That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna bring Barclay back. He's gonna be the final boss, the villain of the entire show, of the entire TNG saga. He's gonna be the end to cap it all off. Is Barclay.
Our friend John Doss's Face is that creepy advertisement from Nickelodeon in the 90s.
Oh, that was great.
Nickelodeon, also part of the Paramount Global family, so that's another possible tie-in right there.
I like Seal 0626. Thanks for this comment. Vadic's face at the end was fascinating. Not angry, not frustrated, not stoic, but devastated. I think it's a great way to put it. And boy, did Riker devastate the Shrike.
That sucks for her. She thought she was gonna win. She was doing her villain monologue. Oh, you punch long enough and well enough, eventually your prey will run straight into your mouth.
Oh, that was
Nope,
good too.
not today.
Not today. Instead, you get a boulder.
Yeah.
you get an asteroid.
Riker, it was also Riker getting back.
Yeah, exactly.
Riker getting his mojo back. If you want to talk about the first two Star Trek movies, the motion picture and the Wrath of Khan, both of those have a moment like that where Kirk kind of has to reignite his mojo and get back to the commanding captain, the who will win the day. So
that's right. Let's talk about Dr. Crusher, who I think was the hero of this episode, because everyone else is kind of resigning to the idea that like it's over, or they're trying to think of solutions. I mean, we do have Seven that we haven't talked about, and Jack, they go on that mission to hunt down the oh, that was last episode. Sorry, we have
but this was
Shaw.
Seven and Shaw. Yeah, they were the.
So we had to talk
that
about
was her new partner.
But before we go to that, I just want to say that to me, it was awesome that Dr. Crusher was like counting down the intervals between the energy surges and was able to like put.
It was a medical thing. She figured out it was a birth. It was pivotal to finding the solution.
We're swimming around and it's amniotic
that
fluid.
Wouldn't be my first conclusion. Oh yeah, it's giving birth. Wait, what?
In fact, what do you mean? I don't even buy that. It's like, oh, so like because you're timing this and there's a pattern, you think it's contractions, and that means we can ride a wave out and survive. Like, no, that really does not make sense. But just story wise, it's like how that was incorporated into the story. It was cool to see her being utilized, especially after 4 movies that did not do very much with her character.
That's true.
And only because I've seen it like 14 times, it kind of does make sense to me what she explains in that little kind of like expositionary moment is that normally with energy waves there's like a mathematical kind of like progression. Like if something's like, for example, if something's like deteriorating or it's escalating, it follows like an algorithm or algorithmic thing, like where you can predict it and it's exact. But with contractions or with biological things, it's never exact. And that's the thing, is like she was counting the spaces in between and she was noticing that it resembled very closely to what contractions in many biologicals resembles, and so that's why she was excited, because
I do not think the birthing process of massive nebula-sized creatures that birth countless little tiny space squids would have anything that would even be slightly recognizable to how like any life form here on Earth reproduces. But you know what? I appreciated the larger themes of what was going on, and I totally accept it, even though I don't think it doesn't make much real life sense.
All right, well, I think it makes, well, not real life sense either, but I think it makes science fiction sense for sure.
Yes, we got science fiction rules. It works. Super chat.
Yeah.
Sledge GE2.
Thank you. Is that like ChatGPT's destroyer? GE2. No, I know. So Sledge says, I know it's not canon, but one of the species 8472, the Undine, was an assimilated boss in Star Trek Online. Oh, interesting.
What's it? I don't know.
I like that name.
A lot of
Yeah.
Picard season 3 reminds me of Star Trek Online, which I've only dabbled in. I'll occasionally, go play a campaign on my PlayStation. I just don't have time to play more of it, but it's a really fun sandbox. The time period they're in, early 25th century. You can pull people from various different shows. I mean, it was really fun this week seeing Riker from TNG give orders to 7 of 9 from Voyager to go find a changeling from DS9. That sounds like a Star Trek Online mission, right?
It's perfect. Like everything just like makes sense to me, like the way. And I've always been waiting for this because like it's true, like why compartmentalize things? Like you don't need to go back and just focus on TNG. Like it's part of a bigger universe at this point. And so I like that they even rebranded it as Star Trek Universe. But Dr. Crusher comes to Picard and Jack, and they start figuring out more stuff, which I love. That's like a Star Trek trope that I love. Like they start figuring out more stuff. Then they go to Riker with the plan, which he's like, this is crazy. Like it's not going to work. But then they kind of like appeal to his like sensibilities because he's kind of jaded. He's also kind of like angry at himself for like not listening to Jean-Luc, but when it was too late with the weapon and everything and the predicament they're in. But then he gets the notion that like, oh, if we open up the nacelle covers, which by the way, I don't think have ever been opened on Star Trek before, have they? Like, I think that was the first time. I was nerding out because I couldn't believe that like nacelle covers opening would excite me as much as it did, but it totally excited me.
Well, something new.
Nacelles have done a lot of they've done a lot of things.
Yeah, but normally the ram scoop is sucking stuff in, or they're like expelling stuff from them, but they're never like opening the. Now we've been inside the nacelle like a bunch of times. Like we've seen it, like I think on definitely on TNG, definitely on Enterprise.
TAS did it first, then TNG, then Enterprise, then Discovery. I think that's
cool.
everyone.
Tom's here. Tom, we talked a lot about you earlier, but anyways, that whole sequence of like everyone adding a little bit to the solution was just something that I that's one of the things I love about Star Trek in general, is that like kind of those kinds of scenes and that kind of vibe, and then just to see it pay off, like like, and Riker being so gracious, he's like, all right, Jean-Luc, you're the only one who's flown us through a situation like this before. You take the con. And then
there's like the booby trap, the episode Booby Trap, when Picard had to pilot the
Right. Yeah, I believe so. Or whatever the story was about Jack and him that they presented.
Yeah, because they had to use the docking thrusters.
Right. Exactly.
That's what the Titan is using here, is the docking thrusters.
And then just like the way that like Riker hands it off to Crusher at the right, he's like, all right, Beverly, it's on you now, like, and then just like everything about it was just like, to me it was not just well written in terms of the tropes that we enjoy in Star Trek, but you could tell that the people writing it, like, and I'm pretty, who was it? Terry Matalas, and there was another 2 writers on this episode, but you just tell like they love Star Trek.
Sean Tretta, right?
Sean Tretta, thank you. I was trying to remember. Yeah. And they've worked together before on 12 Monkeys. So just beautifully done. I thought.
And Sean Tretta co-wrote last week's episode, I believe.
Right, exactly.
With Chris Monfetti, I think, who was a writer in season 2 of Picard.
I think, yeah. And he was on a podcast that Chris Monfett gave a really cool. Sorry, I don't have these notes. Maybe Dom, who's in the audience and usually knows these things, will
put him to work.
But anyway, super amazing sequence, so well written, and then just like, again, ultimately you could write the heck out of something, but if it's not performed well, it's never gonna, like, that's the last harbit, that's the person who holds your words in their hands, and they were just on fire with this stuff, and you could tell they were loving it. Like it was just super cool. All right. Now we can talk about Shaw and 7 if you want. I had to get that out.
Cannabis, still a thing in the 25th century.
Of course it is.
That felt weird.
It's been proven to be medically, like, and recreation. It's a medicinal and a recreational substance, just like whiskey. Whiskey's used all the time. I remember when I was a kid, like my parents would put a little pinch of whiskey in whatever they were treating my colds with. It wasn't enough to get me drunk. It was just a little bit of whiskey. And so, some of these things do have medicinal purposes and recreational purposes. I don't see why drugs. I know Gene Roddenberry maybe was stricter about it, but I just don't see why recreational drugs wouldn't be around.
Gene Roddenberry was a fan of cannabis.
Oh, that's true. He was.
According to some of the books I've read. He was a fan of other stuff too. That too big of a fan of certain things, but yeah, I think it was Herb's. What was his name? Herb Swallow, who helped him develop the show back in the 60s. But I think at one point he was writing like, "Jesus, Gene, you used to be a cop. Like, why do you smoke so much weed?" or something like that. I don't know,
but I'm not surprised that Captain Shaw, because he's like disappointed, right? He's like, "Oh yeah, I wish I had some," or something like that.
As I pointed out on Text Trek, Blazing Bev, she's liberal with those pain medications.
That's
so
Wait. On the cruise, did you decorate your door?
No,
No.
he wasn't the Blazing Bev door.
He wasn't? Okay, because I saw it.
no,
I thought it was gonna be you.
Did you decorate your door, by the way, Father?
I didn't decorate my door. Or I had a promenade view cabin. I didn't decorate my window either.
Oh,
I should have, because next year I'm not on the
yeah.
promenade. Yeah, I got a cheaper cabin next year, so I don't have anything to. I can decorate my door, I guess, but I wanted to put up like a thing of like Odo, like no running on the promenade. But I think someone else
Yeah.
did that. So
The big moment in that scene with Shaw and Seven working together, other than them working together and working together well, mind you, was the way that Seven figured out that Sydney was the loose changeling. She asks Commander. She goes, Commander,
Commander
and she
who?
goes,
Yeah.
Commander who? And she says, Commander Hansen, and she's like,
Bang!
Wrong
That's
answer.
right.
Yeah. Zero hesitation.
Do you think Captain Shaw will start calling her Commander 7 from now on? I hope
it
so.
might take a little bit longer.
Yeah, but they're clearly building up to that moment in the show where he will call her Commander, and people will be like, "Oh, look, Shaw completed his character arc and got over some of his Borg biases. Yay!" So, in fact, I would say like that's probably almost like too telegraphed. I don't know. Maybe they'll put like a spin on it. Maybe it'll be something even more interesting. But I mean, like, I'm okay with that. It's a good message. It's a good like wholesome Star Trek type of vibe. Part of what sets Star Trek apart from other big, massive pop culture franchises that we do like the wholesome stuff like that, and we do lean into that a bit, and we enjoy it, and that's just part of our the Star Trek fan experience. So we'll get it. It'll be there.
The cool thing about wholesomeness is it can be enjoyed across the board, whether you're watching a program that's geared for adults or younger audience. It doesn't matter. It's a universally delightful thing when you see it. So yeah, it's true. It's a good message for sure. I think we're coming up to the hour, so it's time to get some final thoughts. So audience, thanks for all your chats, and if we missed anything and you want to reiterate or ask us questions, go ahead and do so. Of course, super chats will get highlighted. And then other than that, do you guys have any final thoughts you want to talk about on this episode?
I don't have much else to say. I talked about it for over an hour and a half Friday with some other cool people. So I think I'm good. But if people want to check that out, I'll post a link in the chat. And yeah, we stream live every Friday. But yeah, I don't have anything else to add.
Nick, do you have any guesses as to what's going to happen in the next episode?
I'm just waiting for Geordi. I just want to see his entrance.
Hell
I
yeah.
want to see him in the show. They've advertised him all over the place. I'm like, when is it? Give it.
Give it to me.
And a bit
Give it
more
to me.
Troy. Can we maybe see Troy in person and not just like
And not on
on
a
screen on like
yeah.
on a FaceTime call?
Dark Paths in the audience says, I want Nick's final thoughts in rap form. Is that possible? Can you freestyle rap? That's awesome.
No, absolutely not.
Douglas Richardson points out in the Ready Room, Shaw's actor was in The Next Generation. Actually, he was on Enterprise.
Was he?
Yes.
Yeah, Todd Stashwick was in
Not
that
Shaw's
Vulcan.
character, sorry. Oh wait, maybe that's Shaw the actor. Yeah. Todd Stashwick. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Father. It was right.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the Forge Kirshara trilogy. I can't remember what each of those episodes is called, but he was the Romulan disguised as a Vulcan in those episodes. He used to play like a lot of he was like demons and monsters and stuff on like Buffy and Angel in the late 90s, early zeros. He did a lot of that type of work.
Yeah. Douglas also is excited to see Mika Burton as well as LeVar Burton. I'm excited too.
Yeah,
I love
we've
that
only
she's
seen
like
one of his daughters.
Yeah, Sydney, who's not played by a relative. Mika is LeVar's actual daughter, which is pretty cool that they're going to work together. It's a really nice kind of like, moment for them. Cake is Eternal is guessing, Father, on your point that I bet Marina Sirtis had to record some shots from London. So it's possible
she did move. Yeah, she moved recently, and that's one thing that's become very clear is that Terry Metalis was working with these actors and asking them, what things do you want to do, what do you not want to do, and stuff. Like there was a conversation with Michael Dorn about Worf, about like, oh, what if we did like this Pai Mei thing, like in Kill Bill. Conversation with Crusher, where she wanted to be very important and pivotal to the focus of the story with Gates McFadden, but you know what I mean. So yeah, he's obviously trying to work with these people. Maybe that's why Mika Burnham's in the show. But yeah, maybe that was a thing with Troy is maybe Marina Sirtis was like, what, like I actually like don't want to do a ton of work for I'll be in it, I'll participate, but I kind of want to do something a little smaller and more limited. I'm just spitballing, that might be totally untrue, but I don't know, maybe that is the case.
Folks in the audience are saying they want to see Moriarty back and O'Brien. So yeah, everyone's got a favorite character that they want to see. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I think Terry said O'Brien's not in the show, but like we were saying, like we can't believe everything that these people tell us ahead of time. They're trying to save surprises for us. I think that there will be more. He did say like TNG recurring people. So I think that there will definitely be some more that we haven't seen yet, and I think we'll probably see at least one DS9 person and one Voyager person before it's all said and done. But I don't know. We're halfway through almost, so there's not a ton of time left.
We need more episodes. Maybe the surprise at the end of the season is that we have like 5 more episodes or something like. So we really
I do love a 10-episode season. I think that Picard season 2 was stretched out a bit too far. I think it might have worked better as like a 6 or 7 episode season and not 10. I think Discovery season 4 probably didn't need to be 13 episodes. I think it would have helped if it was truncated a little bit. So I think 10 is a good number, but yeah, I'm going to be sad if we don't have like a couple more surprise faces from the familiar faces from the past show up.
Well, before we wrap up, I just want to re-thank the folks who gave us super chats today. So thank you to Sean Kesey, Vera, Filler, Bjorn, I'm sorry, I can't read your. Bjorn 00000, Destruct 0, and then Sledge GE2. Thank you so much for helping us out and contributing, folks. We had a great time hanging out with you. Great chats as always. If you like, leave us a comment. If we didn't get to one of your questions, we do hang out and go check out the comments. So like if we mispronounce something, you guys usually tell us, so we'll go and look to make sure and stuff like that. So leave us comments about things and we'll take care. We'll talk about it next week. We'll be back here next week on Sunday as well. You can check out Text Trek over on his channel, which is on YouTube, Text Trek. And Nick, what's your channel?
Sorry. You can also listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. But yeah, the live show on YouTube is Fridays. So then you can listen later wherever you get your podcasts.
Yes, that's true. And then Nick?
I stream over on twitch.tv under the username PeaceXPeace, Tuesdays and Thursdays. You can find me on Twitter as Starfleet Boy, but everywhere else as Starfleet Sohail. I couldn't change my Twitter handle. But anyways, everyone, please be sure to subscribe. Consider becoming a member of Trek Central, and let's keep this going. I'm all for a new
series. They haven't greenlit anything yet, so we want a 25th century series. So let's keep the Picard hype going. Yeah. All right. See you later.